Hello children, how are you all? I welcome you all to 9th standard first language English class. Children, I hope you are ready with your writing materials and your textbook. Now children, let's begin our class with a warm-up activity. Now, here we have a quiz. It's called The First. Here are few women who are first in achieving something in the pages of history. You need to tell their names. Are you ready for the quiz, children? So, shall we start? Yes. So, here comes your first question, children. Who is the first IPS officer of India? You ready with the answer? Yes, it's Dr. Kiran Bedi. Second question. Who is the first woman judge of Supreme Court of India? The answer is Justice Fatima Bibi. Next question. Who is the first woman president of UN General Assembly? Yes, this is Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Pandit. Who is the first woman president of India? Yeah, the answer is Srimati Pratibha Patil. Who is the first woman Prime Minister of India? The answer is Srimati Indira Gandhi. Who is the first woman governor in India? Yes, it is Sarojini Naidu. Children, we should be very proud of these women, isn't it? And children, congratulations to all those who have answered all these questions correctly, children. Now children, let's match. Now what is that you have to match? Here, look at these pictures, children. Can you see these pictures here? Yes? Now, I will give you certain advices. So, you have to match these pictures with these advices. Study well, don't waste time. You're always working, take some rest. Play well, don't worry about the results. Take the medicine on time. Children, are you matching these? Yes, I hope you have done it. Now, let's check your answer. Yes, if a person is working so much, what do we say? We say, you're always working, take some rest, don't we? And if it's a teacher, and teacher would always say, study well, don't waste time. And if it's a doctor, she would advise a patient like this, take the medicine on time. And if you're a sports person, you would say, play well, don't worry about the results, isn't it? So, these are some of the advices that we come across in our daily life, isn't it? Now, children, they say right words said at the right time can change your life. Isn't this beautiful wordings, children? Yes. In today's lesson 2, the narrator is sharing the best advice received at the right time. Now, you must be wondering, who is this person and what is the advice the person got? From whom did the person get this advice and how did it change that person's life? Isn't it, children? Yes. Now, for that we will have to read the lesson. Unit 1, Prose. The best advice I ever had, by Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Pandit. This lesson is an article written by Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Pandit, one of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru's sisters. Okay, so Vijayalakshmi Pandit is the sister of Jawaharlal Nehru. and she wrote it for the Reader's Digest, a monthly magazine, when she was the High Commissioner for India in United Kingdom. Okay, so this is a Reader's Digest magazine for which she wrote the article. Now children, let's read the lesson. The best advice I ever had came from one of the greatest souls the world has ever known, Mahatma Gandhi, on a sunny afternoon a decade ago. Most people pass through a period of anguish when their belief in humanity is at a low ebb. I was in such a period. My husband had recently died. My deep sorrow over his loss was followed by the humiliating realization that in the eyes of Indian law, I had no individual existence. Along with the other Indian women, I had participated for years with men in the national struggle for freedom, working and suffering side by side with them until it had finally been achieved. Yet, in law, we women were still recognized only through our relationship to men. Now, as a widow without a son, I was not entitled to any share of the family property, nor were my two daughters. I resented this galling position. I was bitter towards those members of my family who supported this antiquated law. At this time, I went to pay my respects to Gandhiji and say goodbye before leaving for America to take part in a conference. After our talk, he asked, "Have you made peace with your relatives?" I was amazed that he would take sides against me. "I have not quarrelled with anyone," I replied, "but I refuse to have anything to do with those who take advantage of an outworn law to create a difficult and humiliating situation for me." Gandhiji looked out of the window for a moment. Then he turned to me and smiled and said, "You will go and say goodbye because courtesy and decency demands this. In India, we still attach importance to these things." "No," I declared, "not even to please you will I go to those who wish to harm me." "No one can harm you except yourself," he said, still smiling. "I see enough bitterness in your heart to cause you injury unless you check it." I remained silent and he continued, "You are going to a new country because you are unhappy and want to escape. Can you escape from yourself? Will you find happiness outside when there is bitterness in your heart? Think it over. Be a little humble. You have lost a loved one. That is sorrow enough. Must you inflict further injury on yourself because you lack courage to cleanse your own heart?" His words would not leave me. They gave me no peace. After some days of severe struggle with myself, I finally telephoned my brother-in-law. "I would like to see you and the family," I said before leaving. I hadn't been with them 5 minutes before I sensed that my visit had brought a feeling of relief to everyone. I told them of my plans and asked for their good wishes before starting on this new stage of my life. The effect on me was miraculous. I felt as if a great burden had been lifted and I was free to be myself. This small gesture was the beginning of a significant change in me. A year and a half later, I was in New York as a leader of the Indian delegation to the United Nations. Important to us was India's complaint regarding the treatment of people of Indian origin in South Africa. Harsh things were said by both sides. I resented the manner in which my opponents made personal attacks harmful to India's prestige and to mine. I struck back with the same sharp weapon. Then, after a distressing duel of words, suddenly thought of Gandhiji. Would he approve? To him, means were as important as the end. In the long run, perhaps more important. What if we succeeded in getting our resolution passed by questionable acts that injured our self-respect? Before going to bed that night, I resolved that come what might, no word of mine would be lightly used in the UN. From then on, I lifted the debate back to where it belonged, refusing to retaliate to personal attacks or to score a cheap point. Our opponents met us on the new level, and from then we argued the case on its merits. Before leaving the committee room on the last day, I went up and spoke to the leader of the opposing delegation. I have come to ask you to forgive me if I have hurt you by any word or action in this debate. He shook my hand warmly and said, I have no complaint. It was good to feel right with him, but even better to feel right with myself. Once more, Gandhiji's advice had saved me from myself. Now children, you just listen to the lesson, isn't it? Now, some words were highlighted in red. Did you see that? Now, what you are supposed to do is, we have to replace the meaning with the word. Shall we do this task, children? Yes. Now, see this picture and see the statement. People watched in severe pain as fire spread through the house. Now, I will give you the option. The option are happiness, excitement and anguish. So, you need to replace severe pain with these three options. So, which one do you think is the right word? Yes? Have you decided? Yes, children, it is anguish. So, the meaning of anguish is severe mental pain or suffering. So, you can rewrite the sentence this way. People watched in anguish as fire spread through the house. Now, let's go to this picture. Oh, look at Abdul. Abdul is being low in spirit as he has lost his job. So, let's see the options, children. High in spirit, at a low ebb and feeling happy. So, here children, you need to replace being low in spirit with the right word. So, which phrase will suit here, children? Yes, at a low ebb. So, the meaning of at a low ebb is being low in spirit. So, you could write Abdul is at low ebb as he has lost his job. Yes, children. Now, look at this picture, children. Now, you can see in this picture that the grandpa doesn't seem very happy. No, some old people feel better being dependent on others. So, what could we replace this words with? Resent, like or enjoy? Yes, here you could replace it with resent because resent means feeling bitter. So, you could write your statement like this. Some people resent being dependent on others. Now, children, look at these two. I think they are in a fierce argument, isn't it? Now, you could say, if someone insults you, don't react as it only makes the situation worse. So, here you could use these words, use the correct word using this option. For example, accept, give up or retaliate. So, which word would suit better, children? Yes, it is retaliate, because retaliate means to react. So, if someone insults you, don't retaliate, as it only makes the situation worse. Yes, children, so far you have learned few words, isn't it? Now, let us understand the lesson. So, how shall we do that? I will ask you few questions, children, very simple ones. So, by answering the answers, you could also understand the lesson. So, are you ready? Yes. Now, who is the narrator of this lesson, children? Yes, you know, it is Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Pandit. And another thing is that, children, we need to feel proud that in 1953, Mrs. Pandit became the first woman to be elected as the President of the UN General Assembly. Children, in the second paragraph of this lesson, Vijayalakshmi Pandit says this: most people pass through a period of anguish when their belief in humanity is at low ebb. Now, what is the tone of the speaker in the beginning of the lesson? Yes, she is a little bit low. She is a little bit depressed and anguish. Mrs. Pandit was passing through a period of anguish because, yes, the options are: she had lost her property, is it she had participated in the struggle for freedom, or C, she had lost her husband. So, which option do you think is the answer, children? Yes, Miss Pandit was passing through a period of anguish because she had lost her husband. She continues saying, my deep sorrow over her loss was followed by the humiliating realization that in the eyes of Indian law, I had no individual existence. Now, why did she feel she did not have any individual existence? Yes, although along with the other Indian women, she had participated for years with men in the national struggle for freedom, working and suffering side by side, her importance was measured only through her relation with her husband. How many children did Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Pandit have? Yes. Is it 2 daughters? Is it 2 sons? Or 1 son and a daughter? So, which is the right option, children? Yes, you are correct. She had 2 daughters. Now, she continues saying, I was bitter towards those members of my family who supported this antiquated law. The meaning of antiquated here means outdated law, children. Now, here Mrs. Pandit speaks about this antiquated law. What is referred to as antiquated law? The antiquated law referred to is that a widow without a son was not entitled to any share of the family property. So, you know that Vijayalakshmi Pandit had just 2 daughters, she did not have a son. So, how did this antiquated law affect Mrs. Pandit? Yes, as she was a widow without a son, she was not entitled to any share of family property, nor were her 2 daughters. So, how do you think her reaction towards her family members would be? Yes, she was bitter towards those members of her family who supported this antiquated law. Whom did Mrs. Pandit go to meet before leaving for America? Is it Gandhiji or Nehru? Yes, your answer is right. It was Gandhiji. What did Gandhiji want Mrs. Pandit to do before going abroad? Did he want her to meet her relatives, fight with them for her share, or to meet her relatives, make peace with them? Yes, the answer is to meet her relatives, make peace with them. Now, why did Gandhiji insist Mrs. Pandit on making peace with her relatives? If Mrs. Pandit goes without making peace with her relatives, the heart feeling will remain in her heart and she will never have peace in a new country. So, how did Gandhiji make Mrs. Pandit meet her relatives? Because Mrs. Pandit was not ready to meet her relatives because of the bitter feeling, right? So, Gandhiji made her realize the complexity of the situation. He pointed, forgiving others is the only way to keep us in peace. So, according to Gandhiji, Mrs. Pandit wanted to go to America because, is it because she wanted to see America, or is it she wanted to escape from the bitterness in her heart towards her relatives, or she wanted to meet her friends? So, which is the right option, children? Yes, your answer is right. She wanted to escape from the bitterness in her heart towards her relatives. Now, how did Mrs. Pandit feel when she met her relatives, or how did Gandhiji's advice help her? Now, after hearing the advice of Gandhiji, she phoned her brother-in-law. She sensed that her visit had brought a feeling of relief to everyone. So, the effect on her was miraculous. She felt as if a great burden had been lifted and she was free to be herself. So, children, see here, forgive people in your life, even those who are not sorry for their action. Holding on to anger only hurts you, not them. If you have any grudge towards your friends, now text them or call them after this class and tell them you are sorry, and you can patch up and you can also ease your burden of your heart. Now, all this time we saw the first part of the story. Now, let us move on to the second part of the story, where Mrs. Pandit goes to New York in America. So, she went there as a leader of the Indian delegation to the United Nations to discuss about India's complaint regarding the treatment of people of Indian origin in South Africa. So, how did the discussion go on in the delegation? See, harsh things were said by both sides. She resented the manner in which her opponents had made personal attacks harmful to India's prestige and to herself. She struck back with the same sharp weapon. What thoughts came to Mrs. Pandit? Mrs. Pandit suddenly thought of Gandhiji. She felt that he would never approve of her way of retaliation. For him, means had to be as good as the end. So, what do you mean by this, children? Means are as important as end. So, what is the meaning of this statement? Yes, see children, the path which we choose to fight a problem is more important than our results. What changes did Mrs. Pandit make in her debate after she thought of Gandhiji? Yes, she resolved that come what might, she refused to retaliate to personal attacks or score a cheap point. So, how did the opponents change their arguments? So, the opponents met them on the new level. They did not make personal remarks, and from then on they argued the case on its merits. So, what did Mrs. Pandit say before leaving the committee room on the last day to the leader of the opposing delegation? So, she said she was there to ask forgiveness if she had hurt him by any word or action in that debate. What was the response of the leader of the opposing delegation? So, he shook Mrs. Pandit's hand and said he had no complaint. So, it was good to feel right with him, but even better to feel right with myself. So, this was said by Mrs. Pandit. So, what does the statement mean, children? So, it means that Mrs. Pandit had not only made peace with the opponent, but with herself too. They parted with a clean heart. Now, Mrs. Pandit recollected the advice of Gandhiji often. What was his advice? Yes, the advice was not to do anything that injures our self-respect and to be humble, and that no one can harm us except ourselves. Now, let's move on to a few grammar items, children. Do you know that, children, as people, we can put on costumes or wear masks to dress up like someone else. See, here he is dressed up like a Spider-Man and he is a Superman. You can see here there is a Shiva and Hanuman, and we could also dress up like a fairy, isn't it? Yes, just like these, words too can take different form. For example, the realization of our ability to solve our real problems helps us to really realize our true nature. Now you can see how the word real has taken different form. Here realization has become a noun because it's naming a feeling. Now, and real is an adjective because it's describing problem. Really is an adverb and realize is a verb. Now children, so we often change the form of nouns from other parts of speech, most commonly from the verb, adjective and with the help of the suffix. Now, if you are thinking how to form nouns with verbs and adjectives, come, I will tell you. So, let us take the noun and let us also take suffix and let us take the verb. Now, let us form nouns with verb and suffix. Now, look at this word allow, it is a verb. Now, let us add suffix ance. So, what does it become? It becomes the noun allowance. Achieve is a verb, let us add suffix to it ment. Now, it has become achievement. Now, see here, let us take the word express and let us add suffix to it. Now, it has formed a new word expression. Now, I have brought my birdie here. So, write down these words, children: react, free, enter, continue and treat. Now, the bird has shown you certain verbs. You have to add these proper suffix to it: ation, ance, dom, ion and ment. So, add those words with these suffixes, children, to form a new noun. So, let us see if you have done the answers correctly. So, let us see the formation of nouns using the verbs with the help of the bird. So, reaction, freedom, entrance, continuation and treatment. Here, children, you have to take care of the spellings as well. Okay. Now, the another task is you have to match the suffixes which are used to form the nouns from adjectives. Now, let me give you these adjectives. See, patriot, just, cruel and kind. So, now let us take the suffix ice, ness, ism and ly. Now, children, you have to match these adjective and the proper suffix and form the noun. Yes, have you done it, children? Now, shall we check your answer? Yes, it is patriotism, justice, cruelty and kindness. Very good, children. Congratulations, you have done a wonderful job. So, children, we have come to the end of a beautiful lesson. So, the other rest we will do it in the next class. Okay, now let us see the assignment. The first question is, why did Mrs. Pandit did not want to meet her relatives? How did Gandhiji's advice help Mrs. Pandit in both the instances in the lesson? We learned a beautiful lesson. What is that? We have to forgive others, isn't it? Okay, thank you once again and meet you all in the next class. Thank you.